Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to our cozy little corner of the internet. I'm Pen and today I'll be reading Chapter 5 of Seen and Not Heard by LitaCakes. Chapter 5 is called You Are Not Alone and You Need Help. Just a little bit of a trigger warning as most chapters in this fic. There will be conversations of abuse, a small panic attack and PTSD mentions. Now, if any of that bothers you, please just take the time to log off, take some time for yourself, and please take care of yourself, okay? Anyway, let's get right into the fic. Hope you guys enjoy. The station was pretty quiet when they walked in, Izuku half hiding behind Shota. It worked, if only because Izuku was like half his height. Shota had made a single comment about Izuku hanging onto his suit the whole walk back to the station, and Izuku was thankful for that. He'd broken down enough today, he didn't think he could handle his hero pointing out his weakness right now. But Izuku had a feeling Shota would never do that. Tsukauchi walked out of his office as they arrived, clearly aiming towards the coffee machine. Eraser, I wasn't expecting you here for another few hours. What happened? Shota looked down at Izuku behind him, giving what Izuku translated as an encouraging look. Izuku frowned behind his mask, not liking that one bit. Be brave. Shota called him brave. He could do this. Izuku peeked out from behind Shota and waved. He was still in his Vigilante gear though, so Tsukauchi might not recognize him. Izuku was wearing dark black cargo pants with green pocket accents and a dark grey hoodie with the hood up, and his dark green face mask and his black neck sleeve. Jeez, English. He even had dark green fingerless gloves to match the dark green combat boots and matching dark green combat boots as well. When Izuku glanced up briefly, he noted the look on Tsukauchi's face. One second. You can take him into the interview. You can take him into the interview room, Eraser? Tsukauchi scrambled back to his office to grab the file and notebook, and also another cup of coffee as well. What might bring okay. Tsukauchi scrambled back to his office to grab a file and a notebook, as well as another coffee as well, as what might be two more from the way he looks to be grabbing the mugs. Izuku realized it was about 11 in the evening, late, but not too late. It was still far too early for either of them to be finishing patrol, but Izuku supposed tonight was his last patrol. It felt bad that he didn't end up catching any criminals. Instead, he broke down into Shota's arms. Shota led the way back to behind the counter, but stopped before they went too far. Izuku, I need your weapons. Izuku tilted his head and pat himself down. He didn't have anything on his person right now, did he? He scrunched up his face, feeling kind of dead brain from everything that just happened this evening. Where's your bat? Shota asked, just as Tsukauchi came out and offered them both coffee mugs. Oh, right, his bat. That's what he was forgetting. Izuku reached into his pocket and pulled out a small metal disc, offering it to Shota. With all the emotions rolling around in his head, he forgot that the thing had been packed into his pocket. Izuku, this isn't a bat. Where did you hide it? We'll need it for evidence. Izuku sighed and took the disc back, tapping it twice on the top and tossing it upwards. The bat sprang to life just as Izuku wrapped his hands around the handle. He flipped it a few times and offered it to Shota with the heavy end down. What the hell? Tsukauchi choked on his coffee. Where did the ting get tech like that? That's an excellent question, Suki. Shota arched a brow at Izuku. Izuku had the decency to look scolded. I'm kind of best friends with an inventor. She's likely going to be the top support gear created in a few years. Once she graduates high school, she has made me some guns, some trank guns. That's it, not real ones. She's currently upgrading those, and this is last year's bat model. This year's also almost ready. Shredder sighed as if everything Izuku just said exhausted him, as he took the offered mug of coffee and chugged half of it while Tsukauchi and Izuku stared at him wide-eyed. "What did he say?" Tsukauchi finally asked. Izuku bit his lower lip to keep him from giggling. He has a support gear inventor in his pocket. Sounds like a girl his age. This bat is apparently last year's model, and she's working on a newer version, as well as upgraded trank guns. The detective glanced at Izuku with a mixture of worry and fear. "I'm gonna need..." "No," Izuku cut Shredder off. "No, she hasn't done anything wrong. She doesn't know what I do. She just invents. I won't risk her career. She's not involved." That was sort of a lie. May had figured it out, but Izuku kept her at a distance from the whole thing, as far as he could tell at least. Shredder sighed yet again. "Fine, this girl gets off the hook, but she can't make you any more weapons ever again, even legal ones. Clear?" "Clear," Izuku saluted. Shredder rolled his eyes and motioned them both to follow him. Izuku took the extra cup of coffee from Tsukauchi's hand and followed the hero towards the interview room. At least this one wasn't an interrogation room. It was cushy with couches, chairs, and a box of tissues. Oh, this wasn't where they interviewed criminals. Lovely. Izuku wasn't sure how he felt about that. When everyone was seated, Shredder motioned for Tsukauchi to take over. "Well, I can't use my quirk on you if you can't speak, so here's my first question. Are you really mute?" Izuku nodded and signed towards Shredder, who translated. "I was injured when I was 8. My father used his quirk on me. It damaged my mouth, tongue, and throat. Forming words is very hard. I assume if I ever got in speech therapy, I could relearn, but I can't right now." Tsukauchi nodded as he flipped to the page of notes and questions he likely made when Kiyoshi first appeared. "How long have you been a vigilante? We have records on the last couple of years. Is that it?" "I've been doing what you would legally be called vigilantism since I was 10. I've been training since I was 8. I only actively started patrolling and fighting when I was about 12 or 13 though. I'm almost 15 now." Tsukauchi made some notes and went on. "Please explain your quirk and how it helps you with your vigilante work. This is important so we can know how to address your case." Izuku blinked, staring blankly at the two men across from him. Had they really not figured it out? Had they believed he had a quirk all this time? No one had ever mentioned the vigilante Kiyoshi having a quirk, and Izuku didn't spread rumors around it either. He also never told Shredder that he had one as Kiyoshi the informant. "Is he serious?" Izuku signed to Shredder. "Very, Izuku. We need to know if you have a simple IQ quirk. That could mean the difference between patrol or jail time if you have a combat quirk." Izuku sighed. They didn't understand. They would never understand. Izuku looked down at his hands. The scars that littered them were mostly from Hisashi poking him with heated fingers from his fire gloves. They looked like cigarette burns. He had a few strap scars from where Inko had lashed him too, though most of those were across his back or the bottoms of his feet. With shaky hands, Izuku signed his death warrant, literally and metaphorically. "I'm quirkless." Tsukauchi wouldn't understand the weight of that word at the moment since he couldn't read the sign language, but Shredder could. Shredder understood instantly. The man grabbed Tsukauchi by the collar and dragged him out of the room. Izuku knew it was over. He couldn't expect his hero to still want him, to still want to protect him when he knew the truth. Of course he'd be alone again. Why did he ever believe anything different? Hey, Shota called back into the room, the door almost shut. Izuku could only see enough of Shota's chest. I don't care what your quirk status is, but I need to discuss it with Suki. Give me a moment. Izuku stared at the door as Shota closed it. He didn't care, but everyone cared. Quirks were all that mattered. Izuku scurried out of his chair, pressing an ear to the door, straining to hear what the conversation outside. It wasn't hard. They were speaking pretty loud. Suki, the kid's quirkless. What? He's quirkless. It makes so much more sense now. Why he uses a baseball bat, why he was abused, why he's on his own. This kid has been alone and hated his whole life. I might not understand it entirely, but you know how I how I was treated as a villain as a kid. I understand his pain slightly. Eraser, you know what that means, right? We can't let this kid go to court. They'll chew him up and spit him out. He'll continue to get abused in the system over and over. I know. I had planned to take him in with me regardless of his vigilante case. But now, Suki, can you let this go? Can we just forget he was ever here? If we can convince him to give it up on being vigilante for good? Yeah, I don't want to see this kid get eaten alive by a twisted government. We both know nothing that wants nothing than to beat him to the ground. Alright, I need to call Zashi and Nezu. I think the rat will want this kid. Oh? If you've seen what this kid has been able to do in if what we've seen him do is even half what he's capable of, this kid could very well be the smartest thing next to Nezu. Yeah, not to mention he's already on my level, just about at my level of stealth. I think we both know it's likely from sneaking around and trying to avoid getting hurt from the people who's supposed to protect him. Izuku winced at that harsh truth. I know, but no more. We'll start a case against his parents. Believe me. After what I've seen, if I don't find the bastard who hurt this kid, you'll have to stop me from putting a bullet in his head. If I ever find the bastard who hurt this kid, you'll have to stop me from putting a bullet in his head. That bad? Suki, the injury that muted him, that's a burn scar on his face, shaped in the shape of a fucking handprint. Eraser, I know. I want his parents to be arrested and put away for good, even if I have to bloody my own knuckles to do it. I don't care. This kid deserves justice. He'll get it, Eraser, regardless. I'll get the paperwork started when we're done. Good. They both went their separate ways for a few minutes, likely to make phone calls. The phone calls that they mentioned to Izuku, so Izuku kept his ear strained until he heard them walking back. He quickly put himself back in his chair when he heard the two men coming towards the interview room. When they came back, Izuku was staring at the floor in the position he'd been left in, processing the whole conversation that was very much not for his ears, which was a lot. They wanted to help him, even in private, when they thought Izuku couldn't hear them. They wanted to protect him. They wanted to get justice for what the world did to him, what his own parents did to him. When Shota sat back down, Izuku practically tackled him in a hug, tears once more streaming down his face. Shota actually yelped in surprise, but quickly wrapped his arms around the smaller teen. Hey, what's wrong, Izu? Izuku wiped his eyes and shook his head, wishing everything inside him that he could speak. But no matter how hard he tried, the voice of Hisashi just reminded him to shut up and be invisible. He couldn't push past the pain to speak, so after a moment he just sighed. Thank you, that's all. Just thank you. The underground hero tilted his head. Tsukauchi shrugged, having no idea what that was about, so he chose to push on. Neither man commented about Izuku sitting in Shota's lap now, and neither sought to move him out of it. Alright, so we have a proposal for you, Izuku. If you'll be willing to give up being a vigilante permanently, we won't be filing your case at all. Thing is, with you being quirkless, well, I don't need to explain how bad the legal system is. Honestly, it's appalling. But we also can't have a 14-year-old running around and chasing crime. It's A, dangerous, and B, illegal. So with this agreement, you'll go under Shota's guardianship and whatever else he wants to offer you. I think he spoke with Nezu. Izuku was curious about that. Neither man had been gone that long. The phone calls couldn't have lasted more than a couple of minutes each. Had that been enough time to win the infamous Principal Nezu over to Izuku's side? Shota sat up a bit straighter, nodding. Izuku wants to meet you and discuss possibly enrolling you in UA. Now, I think it's a horrible idea because we don't really need another human force of nature like that, but, well, I think it's your best bet, kid. Wait, I'll be a UA student? Shota shook his head. Not fully. Nezu wants you to train under him so you can be a licensed Quirk analyst, officially. So you probably take general education course with the students, but you'll be taking major stuff with him. That's one option. We could also have you sit the entrance exam, the written ones, and you could go into the general education or business course if you want, or whatever you want. Izuku could tell Shota tell Shota really didn't want him to become Nezu's student, purely to keep him from becoming a human force of nature, which seemed like a weird concern to have, though. Izuku giggled softly to himself. I want to try to be Nezu-san's student. I don't know if I'm smart enough, but yeah, I'll try. Izuku, you're brilliant. Don't doubt that, okay? Shota nodded to his police partner. So, is that a yes? Have you agreed to the terms? Izuku nodded, signing a quick yes to Shota. Good. Tsukauchi handed some forms over to Shota with a devious little grin. Shota groaned with an eye roll. Give these back to me tomorrow and I'll give Nezu a call. I'm sure he can push them through pretty fast. Said the tired hero. The tired hero mumbled. Jeez, English. Izuku wasn't sure what the paperwork they were talking about. Maybe guardianship stuff? A police officer with a full-on cat head knocked at the door and poked his head around it. Izuku was busy marvelling at the mutant Quirk and failed to hear the short conversation. Sir, President Mike is here for Eraserhead. Send him in, Sansa. Yes, sir. Well, Izuku's brain rebooted. Shota picked him up and placed him on his own chair. Wait, did that officer mention President Mike? Shota had said something about the name Mike earlier when he was speaking in the hallway. Why was President Mike here? Izuku turned to a questioning glance to Shota, and the tired hero just smirked, he was hiding something. Izuku could just tell. Hey, listeners! President Mike's loud voice burst into the room, nearly knocking Izuku out off the chair he was sitting on. Mike, stop scaring Izuku. Oh, sorry, little listener. How are you doing? Izuku tilted his head a little. He knew President Mike's hero persona, but this man was wearing checkered pajamas and a giant hoodie with his head cascading down his shoulders. Is that really President Mike? Izuku signed to Shota. That's my husband. Shota answered with a grin. He also speaks sign, the reason why I know the sign language. Izuku's eyes brightened as he turned back to find the hero smiling with his hands tucked in his pockets casually. Yep, but you can call me Hizashi, okay? The reaction to that name was immediate. Izuku's whole body curled in on itself. You are better seen and not heard. Better yet, neither. Get back here, boy. Come out now or I'll make it 10 times worse. Izuku whimpered, hands lightly digging into the fabric of his mask. He hadn't heard his father's name in years except in the farthest reach of his own mind. The loudest voice, the most painful one. Izuku didn't want to hear it anymore. He didn't want to be invisible. He didn't want to be ignored anymore. A hand reached for his shoulder and Izuku cried out, shoving himself away and onto the floor. He needed an escape. He needed somewhere to hide. Somewhere. There was nothing. Someone was blocking the door. There was nowhere to hide. He whimpered again. Hey, Izuku. Hey, Izuku, stop. Take a breath. It's me. It's Shota. Can you hear me? Izuku didn't realize he was gasping for air until Shota told him to breathe. His eyes snapped back to the dark-haired hero in front of him, forcing himself to nod. Yes, he could hear Shota. What happened? Where'd you go? Izuku wasn't sure how to answer that until he saw the worried faces behind Shota. Tsukauchi looked like he wanted to reach out and help, but was forcing himself not to. Professor Mike was just about to jump in when Izuku winced a little, remembering something. His name. What? Whose name? Mike? Shota was careful not to touch Izuku more than a shoulder grip, just to keep him grounded most likely. It's similar. The name, it's the same, similar to my father, Hisashi. Both Shota and Mike's eyes went wide. Mike looked away in anger and grief. Izuku couldn't tell. In anger or in grief, Izuku couldn't tell. It was one of the two, and that panicked him. I'm sorry, I'll get over it. Please don't be mad. I didn't mean to react that way. I didn't know that's your name. It's just so similar and... Whoa. Izuku, calm down. Stop. Calm down. Mike, what isn't mad at you for your reaction to his name. He's right, little listener. I'm not mad at you. I'm never at you. I'm angry because someone hurt you so badly that hearing their name makes you upset. How about this? You can call me Mike, okay? Or you can call me Yamada. That's my last name. Whichever is easiest for you. Izuku took a few steadying breaths as he nodded, trying to force a smile behind his mask. Eventually it came. Eventually he pushed the fear back and panic back into the corners of his mind, and excitement filled him. President Mike and the race ahead were going to take him home. Well, so they said, but he wasn't sure he believed them until they'd let him stay. Probably not forever. Besides, Shota said it was until they find him a place to stay. Do you have anything to pick up before we head home? Home. Izuku really wished he could stay with them for more than just a few days. He was so tired of feeling listless and a draft. Izuku nodded. Okay, little listener. Let's head out, okay? Tsukauchi bowed his head to the two heroes as the two heroes led Izuku out of the interview room, but he interrupted at the last minute. Remember, Izuku, no vigilantism anymore. It wasn't a threat, just a gentle warning. Izuku nodded and gave Tsukauchi a thumbs up. To be honest, Izuku wasn't sure he would hold out on that first. If the two heroes failed him, he probably would end up on his own again, and he'd probably just end up back to what he was doing. But there was some deep longing in his soul for the normal life he saw in movies. A loving family, school where kids didn't try to kill you every day, a real chance at a career, and happiness, so much happiness. He longed for that so deeply. Izuku looked up to see the two heroes chatting quietly as they walked to Yamada's car. Maybe they could be what he needed. Neither Shota nor Yamada commented on his tiny apartment when they'd gone in and picked up Izuku's mere belongings. Izuku had left a note at the office to explain his departure. All he had in the end was one duffel bag of clothes and his laptop bag with his laptop and notebooks. He would normally stuff his gear in a bag. He would normally have a gear bag as well, but most of his special gears were with May for upgrades. May. Izuku fumbled with his phone, struggling to get it struggling to get it out while he seatbelted in the car. Quickly, not even caring if he was in the car with his new guardians, he called May. He video called May. Izuku, she barked over the phone. Both heroes jumped and turned to see what he was doing. May, I'm so sorry, I forgot to tell you something really important. Whoa, slow down, it's okay. What did you forget? Eraserhead and I got into a huge argument on the rooftop tonight, and I broke down and he took me in. He's taking me in. Eraserhead and President Mike are going to be my guardians for a while. I'm also going to see Nezu, and he might take me on in as his students for Quirk studies. Izuku, that's amazing. We could end up at UA together then, right? Did I tell you to get in this? Did I tell you that I got into the support course today? I'm just so excited. I can make you all the babies you want for my own and start my own business. And you'll be right by my side, right, Zu? Of course, May. Izuku smiled brightly towards behind his mask. He knew May would see the smile in. He knew May would see the smile in the way his eyes crinkled. She was an expert at reading his face after all these years. Congrats, Izuku. You deserve a happy family. Don't be a stranger, okay? If you ever need any more gear, just let me know. Hell, you can have your new dads come for me to me for gear too. Izuku sputtered a little when May called them his dads. That was so far from where they were right now. Izuku didn't want to assume anything, especially not when they'd likely want, especially not they'd want to keep a quirkless decker like him. She hung up before he could reply, so Izuku just sighed and tucked his phone away. Is that your inventor friend? Yes, May. She's brilliant but crazy. All her babies, as she calls them, have at least a 40% chance of exploding. Shoda thought over this for a moment and then glanced at Yamada beside him. All of them? Like even your bat? Izuku chuckled to himself a little. Well, it does have an electrocution function and retractable spikes too. I think May's also going to add something special to the newest model too. That's concerning, Mike mumbled, mostly to himself. Shoda just chuckled to himself and kept his eyes on the road. Izuku wasn't exactly sure what to make of that. Okay, everyone, that was chapter 5 of Seen and Not Heard by LitaCakes. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I know I did. I've got to catch up on this book because I'm only up to chapter 7 myself, so I've got to do some reading. And in the meantime, make sure to take care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!